there is this problem we have in the country because everybody comes up talk about syphilis. Even guys who don't have
the herbalists.
Yes, the herbalists, they don't have proper information knowledge about the disease. And these are guys who are always given air on TVs, good forest TV that they are not yet here and they'll never be here.
No, we are here to strictly give you valid information and educative information, not things that are panobiting here and there, all in the name of receiving medical help. No.
Because one day I went and pretended to be a patient. There was a stall at State Square, and there was somebody there with a speaker and making those adverts. So I pretended to be a patient, and I specifically requested to be tested for syphilis. But before the test was done, I requested to be explained to what exactly syphilis was. And then this young lady who was there on our stall, she was very comfortable and very seriously explaining to me how syphilis is transmitted, how it is caused by a virus. And then like, oh, where do we get this virus? You know, we get this virus when you go to the toilet. That is not true.
Misinforming people.
So after being told that falsehood, I was good enough. I called her aside. I pulled out my ID, like, excuse me, you have done nothing wrong, but I know you don't know, so I'm just here to help you to teach you what exactly syphilis is. So let's not go by whatever we hear or whatever you watch. Excuse me. Some of the things are not true. Yes. So you get credible information from credible people who are trained, who are knowledgeable.
True.
When we begin to handle health issues or health factors, we don't inherit the knowledge. No. So the so-called claims that my mother was a herbalist, my judge was a herbalist, they call themselves actually doctors. So even the grandchild automatically becomes a doctor is not true. When you want to become a doctor or when you want to become a teacher,
you go to school.
Yes. I'm born of teachers. My mother and my father are both teachers.
But you're a doctor.
But I'm not a teacher. Actually, we did not inherit that profession from our parents because they were teachers. So whatever you want to become, if you want to become a doctor, you go and train. Yeah, there are very many universities and institutions which can train you and you become that. So let's get back to syphilis. How is syphilis transmitted?
One, it's a bacterial infection.
It's a bacteria. So how do we get that bacteria? That bacteria now, to us the adults, it is purely sexually transmitted. Yes. You get syphilis when you have sexual intercourse, I mean unprotected sexual intercourse with somebody who has syphilis. There you can get syphilis. Another way, should you or should your body get in contact with a sore, an infective sore of somebody who has syphilis, then you can still get syphilis. But syphilis is not got from the toilets. As people, because sometimes we hear people with the speakers in the corners. Kampala, you find them in every roundabout. And the way you say those are the fake, that's the fake information they are giving you, that you're getting syphilis from the toilet. No, it's not true.
I think they more of put it in the category of UTIs.
Yes. They don't have.
And then that is when they'll give you the same treatment course for UTIs, for syphilis, and it's not being treated, and you think it is not curable. And
sometime I was watching a certain TV, and there was a gentleman who was speaking the very, very things, explaining how syphilis is transmitted and telling people, if you sit on the toilet, if you go in the bathroom, I understand when you jump, a place where somebody has sued, but such things don't exist.
That is really bad information.
It is bad information. And it was on TV. Actually, I was watching, just like people watching us. I was watching, then where I was, my feet grew cold. I was like, what is happening in this world? And that's the information that people are taking. And now people, their minds are corrupted to a certain extent. Sometimes people believe that what they watch on TV and what they hear on radio must be very true and it's correct information. Actually, when you try to talk to some of these people, they will like, But I had this thing over the radio.
There's a lady that came to a medical camp one time, and they were being treated. You know, she came and told the doctor, I want to test for other things. Me, I know I have syphilis. Nina kabotongo. Neo wange ndude na ye kati emyaka giri abiri. I have my syphilis and I know it's not curable. So don't even bother treating it. You treat other things, you leave it alone.
And one day, I gave somebody results. Still a lady. So she came for a medical checkup. Then I gave her results and she was negative for syphilis. So when I gave her results, she laughed off, like, you're joking. I cannot be negative. Then like, why? Just like I said, wafali mumusai. Muganda wange amulina ne mama yamulina kati tonya kugamba nti sirina nawe musawo okola kyo osaga. Tekisoboka tena like, were you tested? No, the sekebeza ngako nina okiraba bulabi konze nkiraba ntya. Tidda ntuya n'ebigere. And that's what people think.
It's very bad. It's a symptom for many things, by the way.
Ntuya n'ebigere simanyini n'enchacha. Kubera n'enchacha si kabotongo as such. Kabotongo is in the blood. Fine, it can present with some rash, as we're going to be looking at those stages. But not every rash
is for syphilis.
Is for syphilis as such. That is wrong. And when you sweat at night, it's not a sign that you have syphilis. But this is what our so-called doctors
it's the information they give people.
And people are really intoxicated. They're given wrong information. Somebody is there and they're thinking, I have syphilis because I'm sweating at night, because my toes are smelling. No, it could be another infection.
True.
But not necessarily kabotongo or syphilis as such. So we're talking about how it is transmitted.
Yes, how it's transmitted.
So apart from those two, we have what the child, in case a mother has syphilis. So there is that transmission which can occur, that this child can be infected when she's in the mother's womb. Yes. Or that's what we call congenital syphilis. Yes. Or during birth. That is another way. So this is where again trouble is, because I faced these challenges. When you find a parent carrying a 5-year-old boy or girl to the clinic, and this parent is very sure and is asserting with all the might, my child has syphilis.
Because they have it.
Even when they don't have it. And then you ask, how did this child
get that syphilis?
Get the syphilis? The mother has no syphilis, because she or he could have gotten the syphilis congenitally from the mother, but now the mother is free from syphilis, and this child is not sexually active. So where could have this child gotten the syphilis from? One day I found a lady, it was from a certain clinic, and the child was being treated for syphilis. They're like, did you do the tests to confirm that this child had syphilis? No, you can just look at the child and see. The baby has the rash. Not all the rash is for syphilis as such. No, before we treat, before we do anything, let's go and do a checkup and confirm whether the person has syphilis or not. Actually, when you look at the people who think they have, you will find about those who think in the mind that they have syphilis, you may find about 90% when they always don't have. Actually, they reached a time, I think it was last year, I was on a certain radio station, when I told the public that whoever thinks that he has, he should come for a free
checkup,
just to confirm, and just make their mind clear, to know, and I would give them chance to explain to them and teach them what syphilis was. It's not what you hear somewhere in the corner when you're branching to go to your place where you sleep. That's not right. Yes, and I appeal to responsible authorities. I'm not saying they should be banned, but let them be trained maybe, so that they can
have the right information.
Yeah, so they can have the right information to give to the public.
They don't mix up these infections.
So they don't mix up, yes, and mislead the public. Because very many are there taking jerry cans. They don't know which concoctions they are taking. Allegedly taking to treat syphilis, and somebody does it for years and years, and then they begin to think that syphilis is not curable. Yet it is curable.
Curable.
So that's the bad thing. So how do we know we have syphilis? In the first case, the best way to know you have syphilis is to go for a retest, and you do a blood test, and you have the syphilis screening. When you're screened for syphilis and you test positive, you may be required to do other tests. We call the confirmatory tests to confirm, because there is this challenge with syphilis. You know, when you get, just like you get any other infection, the body will produce antibodies against the bacteria or the virus you get in the body. So when this Treponema pallidum bacteria gets into your body will immediately respond by producing the appropriate antibodies to fight against
the bacteria.
Yes. So sometimes these antibodies stay long in the body. Even after you have gotten the treatment, the antibodies will keep in the body for some time. So for the antibody-based tests that are very common that we always do, they may remain testing positive for some good time, even after you've been treated and yes. Cured. So that's another information that the public needs to know. If you've gone to a hospital and have tested you for syphilis, and then the doctor or the nurse or whoever has taken trouble to give you treatment, the treatment that we give antibiotics, the penicillin antibiotics. If you're being given the treatment, and after some time, let me say 2-3 months, or even more, or even a year
after the treatment,
there is a possibility that you could go back, and if they did the antibody-based test, the test may again test positive. But that does not necessarily mean that you have active syphilis. That's why we go further to do the confirmatory test to rule out whether they are just circulating antibodies after treatment, just in response to the infection you got, or you have the active syphilis. So sometimes people have that in mind and they continue saying that that syphilis is not curable, because even after getting treatment, they go back and for a second time, and then the antibodies are still circulating in the body. The presence of syphilis, the anti-Treponema pallidum antibodies, may not necessarily mean that you have active syphilis.
Okay. So what are the signs and symptoms?
Signs and symptoms, they will depend on which stage of the infection. Because we categorize syphilis in basically 4 stages. We have the primary stage, we have the secondary, we have the tertiary, and then we have even what we call the latent stage. So in the primary stages, the sign, you may feel a sign, or you may not even have any sign. Yes, there's that possibility. But what is common in primary infection, or in the primary stage of syphilis, you may develop a sore at the point of the entry of the bacteria. And this is most especially around the genitalia. So you may develop that sore. Most of the time it is painless. Yeah, we call it a chancre. It is painless and it may heal on its own. It will disappear without even any treatment. So that's one of the signs. You may develop some feverish, some people, and some may not.
Some may not.
But that's a prominent one. In the first stages, or the stage 1 of syphilis, you may develop that. Then when we go to stage 2 of syphilis, that's where you begin to develop the skin rash, like in the palm, on the feet, on the sole, and sometimes on the trunk of the body. You may develop some headache, you may have some chills, depending on an individual. Yes. So from there, you would go to the tertiary, the latent, the latent stage. Latent basically means hidden. So this is a time when, like, the bacteria hibernates. You seem to be fine, but actually you're not fine. You may not present with any sign or symptom, but when you have the bacteria, it is latent. It's like it's resting, it's dormant at that part, but it can get reactivated and become very serious and cause you troubles.
What triggers that reactivation?
What triggers the activation is not known, and what makes it become latent is not, but the fact is it gets to those stages. It may go silent and quiet, and you may think you're free from it, but when you have, that's why we always recommend that it's better always to go for a test, because you may not know what you have and what you don't have, not until you prove it out. And then when we get to the fourth stage, this is a very dangerous stage, because this is where the bacteria now spreads to almost all the body parts. It can get to the brain, it can get to organs like the heart, the kidney, the liver, the heart, the lungs, and it can cause irreversible damages. Yes, it can cause irreversible damage. You can develop dementia, organs can fail, you can get organ failure. So that is a serious stage which can be even fatal. Yes.
Oh. So in the first stage, like you have mentioned, in the first stage, how long from that point of transmission, or from the point of transmission, how long does it take for these first signs to start presenting themselves?
That may take from 3 days. After 3 days, you may begin to feel something. From 3 days to about a month. Yeah, about a month. During that period, you may feel something. Yeah, during that time frame, you may feel something. At least you may begin to develop some sign. The chancre may start to develop, because this SOA develops at the point of entry, where the bacteria penetrates to enter your body. That's where the SOA develops. So it could be one, it could be multiple, but most especially around the genitalia. And these SOAs will heal by their own, even when you don't treat them, and they're painless. Yes.
So this bacteria, does it mainly affect men, women, everyone? Who suffers the most with it?
It affects all sexes. Yeah, it doesn't discriminate whether a woman or a man. As long as you have exposure to it, it will get into your body and it will affect you.
And then its level of damage, like you said. At what can I get cured after like a month? And
yes,
and actually, I retain the damages you talked about.
It's better for it, and it is easily managed at the early stages, because like I said, in advanced stages, like at stage 4, when it gets into other body organs, the damages it causes may be irreversible and may be irreparable. In that even when we treat, we can treat and you could be free from syphilis, but you may not be free from those irreversible damages that it could have caused to some of your organs. If it got into your brain, you can become blind, you can get dementia, you can get some mental instabilities. So some of those may be irreversible because of how it affected your organs. If it affected your liver, your lungs, your kidneys, like I said, it could cause even kidney failures. Yeah, total organ failure. And such conditions may be reversible. You could be treated and you'll be free from the bacteria, but then you may not be free from other
damages,
effects, the damages
that
which
come
it
along.
caused. Yes.
What are the chances of misdiagnosing syphilis with something else?
It depends on who diagnoses you. That's one, but because when we are testing, at least we are specific. You know, these investigations most of the time, they are specific. When you go to the hospital or to the clinic and you want to do a specific test, you will test that specific condition that you want to be tested. Sometimes I've heard from people, somebody comes and he wants to do, let me say, CBC. You do a CBC test, and then after somebody begins to ask, like, has also syphilis been detected? Like, no, we did not do a syphilis test, but we did a CBC. And somebody like, what is my blood group in the CBC? It's not possible. These tests are directed towards a test and they are specific for that. So if you have come to do a syphilis test, we use a test which is specific and goes directly to detect either the bacteria itself for syphilis or the antibodies against the Treponema pallidum, which are specific.
You know, most times a person will come to a medical facility presenting some signs and symptoms of a particular disease. However, when they give in the signs and symptoms, a doctor will ask for another test. Because I think, yes, clinically, the doctor will know what they want to look for, given the particular signs and symptoms. But I think if a patient comes in and they feel they're suffering from something in particular, I think it's okay, it's prudent for them to tell the doctor, you know what, you've asked me to do this test, can you please include this test for me, because I feel...
Yes, it is okay. It's okay, you can request, because nobody can deny you that chance, because you could be having a reason why you want to do such. But when it comes to clinical diagnosis, sometimes you patients mislead us.
True.
You know, sometimes you have this false imagination that if I don't exaggerate my explanation, my pain, maybe the doctor may not understand what I'm going through. Yet, by the way, I need so much your information when I begin to ask you when you go to the triage table, and then I want to know your history. It is very important. But when you begin to put in things which are not real, exaggerating how you feel, maybe even mention things that you think they will scare me and make you attend to you very fast, it's not right, because you may mislead the doctor. And when you put those extremes, I could be forced to make even other requests or the tests that may not have been even necessary. But based on how you're explaining to me, because I may at some point begin to feel to be in your shoes. I'm now trying to imagine what you're going through. You're
There's a
me
time
how
there was a patient came in and told the doctor, I am dying, my stomach is aching, I have a running stomach. So the doctor asked, how many times have you gone to the toilet since morning? And they were like, I think 2 times or 3. So the doctor was like, that is not so frightening.
Yes.
So the patient was like, I didn't count them very well. They're even more than 10. They actually wanted a drip, you know, with that mentality that I am dying, yeah. But I think it's very important for patients, like you have said, to give clear information.
Yeah, you give. By the way, you don't think that you'll ever lie to a doctor or a nurse. When you try to lie to a doctor or a nurse or any health care personnel who is attending to you, you're actually not lying to you.
You're doing a disservice to yourself, because they'll even give you a dosage that you don't need.
It is you who is in need. And still, if you don't explain, you hide some things, you don't, maybe you're scared of telling me some things, you're still doing a disservice to yourself. Because if you explain to me, then I do not probably be of help to you and give you the treatment that you need, and you get well. But sometimes the results come back when you begin to explain to the patient. You see, this is what I've done, like, but there is something else.
I didn't tell you.
But actually, this person did not forget, but probably feared to explain to the doctor. If you don't feel comfortable, like sometimes you may feel it is a woman against a man, maybe the doctor is a woman, the patient is a man, and maybe the other way around. If you're not comfortable explaining that to me, at least you request to be attended to by another health worker or by another doctor. It's acceptable. If you don't feel comfortable explaining your condition to me, then you may request, you see, doctor, I'm not comfortable explaining to you this, but may I get another person to explain to, which is very okay. Yes, instead of hiding it, yet it's what has brought you to the clinic, and you want to be helped. Now, like, when we talk about it, we're talking about syphilis. One of the things we need to do is to do a physical examination. We are talking about the chancre or the sore, which develops at the area where the bacteria could have penetrated the body. So I may require, or I may need to look at your genitalia. But sometimes you may find when the client is a female and she may not be very comfortable undressing before a man. But if you have such fears, any comfortabilities you have,
you
address it and it could be handled instead of shying away, and then you begin speaking things which are not actually real because you are feared the problem was different, and then you begin telling me about how you have the low abdominal pain, and then we did the analysis which is negative. The problem is different. So you feel free when you get there.
Now, Rest TV brings to you a lovers dinner on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February. That's going to be a Friday, starting from 8 p.m. It's going to be at Marie's Royal Hotel along Gaba Road in Soyabunga. Now, all you have to do is write in your letter. Give us your love story. Let us get excited about it. It should be enticing. Tell us everything you need to tell us in your letter. And 5 lucky winners, 5 lucky couples stand a chance to win a dinner for 2, a cake, and a rose. So write in your letters, send them in via our Facebook page, and we are going to be reading them, and we will let you know who the winner is. So you have very few days to go. Write to us, let us know your couple, husband, wife, you could be the lucky winner, and you stand a chance to win this on Rest TV. We are going for a short break, and we will be right back on the diagnosis.
You're watching Rest TV. Wumula.
Unisex Beauty Salon is a salon with experience and professionalism like no other. For that big occasion or that simple daily care, Big Time Salon leads the way in hairstyling and waxing, weaving and plaiting, haircuts and shaving, full body massage, pedicure and manicure. That bridal care for your special day. Big Time Salon is located on Kampala Road, opposite House of Rest, former Fido Dido.
Watch.
Every day is a new day here at Rest TV. Watch the Voice of Financial Freedom with Dr. Livingstone Banjagala of City Harvest Church, Monday to Friday, 6:30 a.m. Be blessed and prosper.
Watching Rest TV.
signs, the symptoms, who is prone to getting it. Now we're going to look at treatment and resistance. Why is it that some people, when they get syphilis, they go for treatment, things seem not to work out? Doctor,
Yes.
people, there's someone that asked, I have syphilis, I have always gone for the treatment and I complete the treatment. However, every time I go back for a checkup, it comes back positive. It presents itself positive. It's like I have not done any treatment or whatsoever. Yes. What could be the cause? What?
Actually, it doesn't mean that this person did not get cured. But I try to explain this point. For syphilis antibodies, if you're carrying out the antibody-based tests, which are very common, most of the serological tests we do, they are antibody tests. So these tests will pick the antibodies against the syphilis. So this is what happened to syphilis. With the syphilis, the antibodies take long, quite long, to get finished in the body, in case they do. So when you're using these antibody-based tests and you're going always after the treatment, you stand high chances, or you'll find that your test will always test positive. But you testing positive after treatment does not necessarily mean that you have
The syphilis.
That's why we said we need to do more advanced tests, what we call the confirmatory tests. Yeah, we can go for TPHA. It can help to confirm, in addition to other tests you have done. Because we have a number of them. We have VDRL, we have RPR, we have TPHA, we have the immunoassays, and many others. The immunochromatographic assays also. So the enzyme-linked assays, all these tests help us to diagnose syphilis, but at which stage? That's where the issue is. So if you went and tested, and then you're given treatment, maybe we could put it in quotes when he says treatment.
Or maybe they didn't get the full treatment as per se.
Not even getting the full treatment, but which treatment?
Which treatment?
Yeah, which treatment? Yes, because for syphilis, like I said, we give the penicillin-based antibiotics, the penicillins. I don't really give it. I'm not going to speak exactly, but I'm going to say penicillin because we don't always prescribe on TV. Yes, we don't want to be like those people in the corners around the roundabouts. So if you have, or if you want to know the real medicine, you want to know what exactly you need to do, please approach your doctor. The doctor, I know they know. If you approach a qualified personnel, they know how to treat and how to manage syphilis, and they know which penicillin exactly to give you. So when I talk about treatment in quotations, because in as much as syphilis is caused by a bacteria, Treponema pallidum, but not any antibacterial will be prescribed for syphilis. Because I've seen such cases. There's a gentleman who was tested for syphilis, and then the prescription which I saw, somebody was given amoxicillin. Yes, this is very true. So this gentleman came like, I've been on treatment. Then I wanted to know which kind of treatment. And that was the treatment. That's why I'm putting the treatment in quotation.
Quotes. Yes.
Because fine, she could have gone to see a doctor or whichever person she met, and she could have been given treatment. But which treatment did she get? And again, apart from that, is the explanation I gave about the continuous saturation of the antibodies against the Treponema pallidum, which may take long in the body. They can even go for a year or plus when they are still circulating in your body. But that does not necessarily mean that you have syphilis. Yes.
Okay. Now, we'll find that many people, most of the times, think or have a myth that syphilis is only found in people that have HIV. You'll find people complaining that if you have, of course, we know HIV fights your immunity, so you're prone to get syphilis. Why do people have that mentality that syphilis is associated to HIV?
It's not associated to HIV. But, you know, just like I've said it, HIV compromises the body's immunity, that is one. So when your immunity is low, you can easily get any disease,
yes.
apart from syphilis. But anything, be it flu, anything can get
attack
into
your
your body.
body.
These cancers like the sarcomas, anything can get, we call them opportunistic infections. And then when it comes to syphilis, given that it is sexually transmitted, and even HIV also sexually, these are STIs, so there's a possibility that if one has, then it can easily pass on to the other. Yes, there's that possibility, but it's not that whoever has HIV must have syphilis, or not that whoever has syphilis has HIV, but it can easily predispose you. Now, like if you have gotten syphilis and you have this sore, the chancre, it's an opening. And if you're having sexual intercourse with somebody who has HIV,
it's very easy for the
very easy for
transmission
them
to take place
because you have an open wound already in the chancre. So it is easy for the virus to cross. And
even for the bacteria to cross.
Yes, to cross. So there is that reinfection and cross-infection, which is very easy.
Now you've talked about reinfection. At what stage or how do people get reinfected? Something you can wear, not necessarily a sweater, but something that is long-sleeved that will protect your body, because not only syphilis, you can get hepatitis B, you can get hepatitis C, you can get any other infection as long as there is body contact.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, if I see someone with a rash, how different is that, the rash of syphilis? How differently does it present itself from other body rashes?
Now it will depend on the cause, but sometimes this body rash may come with the sores, like
on the
those
body.
openings. Sometimes they may appear to be blisters, and sometimes they may separate to the mouth. Sometimes they get into the genitalia. And these sores, or the so-called wounds as such, they are painless. They may not be painful sores, but there are many other conditions which may present with the body rash. Like, for example, somebody may mistake. Actually, somebody came and was showing me fungal infection, and to him, he was busy treating it with the so-called medicine, alleging it was syphilis. But this was a fungal infection. Somebody had ringworm. Yes, ringworm all over his body, in the hair. So, before, I don't want you to be out there and then you look at your body, maybe if you have a small rash, and then you begin to judge. Even when you have a sore, or even when you have a rash, please go to the doctor request for the appropriate tests. These things are better confirmed when you do a test.
True.
That's the best way you can confirm. Because rashes may come caused by a number of things. You can have a kidney problem and you develop a rash. So will you conclude that I've seen a rash on the body, I could be having syphilis? No. If you could be having an allergy and you develop a body rash. So will you simply look at the rash on your body and you conclude I have syphilis? No. Kindly go see your physician, go see your doctor, go and see the nurse, whoever you see in the hospital, meaning the trained health care professionals.
Yes.
Yeah, not somebody who inherited treating from
home or something like
you know,
that.
my father, my husband is a doctor, so when I marry a wife who is a teacher,
a doctor.
No, it's not sexually transmitted. No, you have to go to school. Recently I watched something on air, on TV, ND, I think they were making a crackdown on these illegal facilities, people who practice without licenses and so on. So I watched one story which was interesting. The husband or the gentleman married a wife who was a medical worker. So along
they started a drug shop.
They started the drug shop, they started the clinic, and eventually
the man
became a doctor.
With experience.
I watched on TV when they were asking him, where are your papers? And the answer was like, my wife is So that's not the case. When I marry a teacher, I don't become a teacher automatically. So when you get married to a doctor, you don't become a doctor. You don't become a nurse. You don't become a midwife. No, that's not the case. So even when you know that her husband or his wife is a nurse, when you meet him, please don't let him test you and prescribe for you. Or
True.
Because she or he is not. You wait for the food that's going to come back. Yes, and then he will do that for you.
Now, talking about the rashes, doctor, you know, many times people get rashes and they quickly buy these creams, medicated creams, in pharmacies, in grocery stores, in beauty shops, cosmetic shops, and they start applying the cream and all that. Now, like you have said, some rashes are as a result of a fungal infection. Now, most times you'll find that many patients are treating fungal infections with antibiotics, and then they end up saying, hey, this rash is not going away, or maybe this symptom is not going away, but it's because you're exposing a fungal infection to an antibiotic, and which cannot help. Can you please help our viewers out there? Just try to throw some light on that, because most times, like you have said, people are using the wrong medication
and
for the wrong thing.
They end up spending a lot of money.
Yes, because you'll find someone, I have a rash, just buy MCG. I have a rash. No, me, this cream is the one that works for me. It takes the rash away, but why does the rash come back?
Putting those people, I have an experience of my own mother. My mother is a teacher. So I think last year, she had some fungal infection around her neck, and for her, she didn't know what it was exactly, and she was busy taking a lot of medicine which could not help her. So when I went to the village to visit her, that's when she showed me, and she showed me what she had bought. Like, now all this you bought for nothing. You only needed this simple thing to help you do away with the thing, and it worked out. So if you have any kind of rash, it is true, and it's not a crime for you not to know, because you didn't train in that. If I don't know accounting, and I really don't know those things, the balance sheet, it's not a crime that I don't know. I did not train in that, but I trained in some other things where I have now expertise. So if there is something you don't know, it's not bad to consult. Yes, you consult a person who knows. When you have a rash that you don't understand, there is nothing wrong with you to walk to the clinic or to the pharmacy. You show that thing. And don't get ashamed.
It's not a crime.
It's not a crime.
By the way, getting any disease or falling
Yes.
sick is not a crime, because each and every one of us is predisposed to things that can make us sick. So it's
feel
not
comfortable.
a crime.
Feel comfortable to go to any
But
doctor.
I think, you know, doctor, there are some things where they tell you, they have a rash. Golai katona. Those are the things that keep people away. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I know there could be such kind of health workers who may not know how to talk to people, but I believe there are just a few of them, a handful of them, and the majority of us, I think we are approachable, and you can easily come and by the way, even us personally, last year I got a small itching when I was from the village. Then when I came back to Kampala, I got some itching on my toe, which I could not understand. But I didn't get ashamed. I went and I consulted. I consulted another person. I remember I went to a pharmacy because I knew it was some topical infection and to apply some cream. Basically. But I went and explained how I was feeling, and like, yes, I didn't get ashamed that I would be laughed at. I said, now this Musao is again coming again to, yes. So you feel comfortable to go and ask. You know, even us, we have very many different departments. You find the orthopedic officers, you find the midwives, you have the nurses, the lab technicians, the doctors, ophthalmologists, ENTs. Now we have, when I was young, before I went for training, I used to hear people complain. Nagenze ku ddwaliro naye omusawo obwedda atuyitako buyisi n'ayingira mu kasenge kali ife tatukola ki tatukolako. And you know, for people out there, when they see you in a white gown, for them they name Sao. But these are abasawo who are trained in specific things that they handle. Yet we all are all of Sao. You'll find the midwife putting on almost the same color, or sometimes the same color of the dress like that of a nurse. But the midwife is supposed to be somewhere handling now the mothers in the labor suit, and then the nurse also somewhere treating other people in the wards, cannulating and whatsoever, and then the doctors will find an orthopedic officer is purely handling the bones. Are getting, so he may pass you, for you, you could just see somebody in a gown, but he will pass by you and go and attend to the client is supposed to attend. I
think the problem is in Uganda. And I think that goes back to the education system, or I don't know, in Uganda. The problem we have is once you walk into a medical facility, even if you find an accountant, even if you find a gate man, as long as the person works in a medical facility, musawa. Yeah, it is true. And because I think that is wrong. it's really wrong, because I had an experience, a personal experience when I was young. I had an issue with my eye. I woke up one morning and my eye was swollen. Now there is a lady, may her soul rest in peace, she went passed on. She used to work in Mulago, but she was a cleaner in Mulago. Yes. Then she opened up a drug shop, and then later on it advanced into a clinic. So in the evening she would come and sit into her medical center, and she's Msao. They are calling her Msao. So my eye is paining, we got there, and the lady was telling us, boil water, put cotton in the water, get out the cotton from boiling water, put it on a spoon, put it on your eye cover. Until the spoon, you know, I did it the first time, the second time. So when I told my mom told me, how do you even do something like that? How sure are you that person is Msao? So we go to Mulago. On going to Mulago, to my surprise, now months after I've gone for something else, I find that same Msao in a ward cleaning. I was shocked. I felt bad. But it is because I think there are no regulations or something. But
regulations are there, but people are supposed to effect the
regulations are not doing so much.
Not doing it so serious, because you're talking about. But just last month, at my clinic, we have been having a gentleman, a senior 6 dropout, he come and looked for a job, and we gave him a job of a marketing. There's been marketing. He was a good marketer, been interacting with our clients, you know, that customer relationship. He could do that perfectly. By then, he chose to leave, and he went and started his own lab, I understand, and he's busy purporting to be a medical professional. So we got some distress calls from people, and then we had to make a public alert. Said, please, this guy is not a doctor. But people have been finding him at our facility. They could have not known. If you knew he wasn't a medic, but some people, when they see him around the facility, they may think he is. But actually, you know, when you go and you go to any medical facility of whichever nature, at least try to ensure that this place is registered. Take a trouble, because it is your life. Demand to look at maybe at the registration certificates. Is this place registered? Is it run by qualified personnel? And if possible, you can even demand to know the qualification of the person who is working on you. Because you could be attended to by a quack and you put your life at risk. It is your right. It is your life. Know who attends to you. Yes. Don't just go because somebody is carrying you with a white gown. This is just a piece of cloth. Yes, when I put it off, now like I'm not in my gown, I'm just like any other normal person. So don't be scared by my white coat when you come to my office. Yeah, put me a task to explain.
To explain everything.
That's your right. It is your life.
Okay. That is all we had today on the diagnosis. Please keep sending in those questions. Some of them, of course, were not related to syphilis. That's why we did not ask them. But like we normally do, we are going to go back and respond to your questions online in your inboxes. Now, like I told you earlier on, Rest TV brings to you a lover's dinner on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, 8 p.m. at Marie's Royal Hotel along Gaba Road. Now, all you have to do to qualify for this, we have 5 lucky winners. You stand a chance to win. Write us your love story. Write your letter. Tell us everything nice and exciting about your love life. And you stand a chance to win a dinner for 2, a cake, and a rose. And on top of that, as the diagnosis, we shall be doing a mobile medical check-up to those lucky couples. We shall find you in your home and do for you a free lab checkup for your family. So write in. We are waiting. We're excited. We have already letters that have come in, but keep writing in. You never know. Yours would be the best among the 5, and you win this, you stand a chance to win these things on the Valentine's Day. We love you from Rest TV, and stay watching us.